Hey, this is Matt once again. We're back to another video. The paid request. It's time for Joseph. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. It could be for pretty much any type of video. Topic review, re-review, reaction, commentary, video game playthrough, what have you. Thank you for those who have sent them in. Really appreciated. Joseph wanted me to talk about the 2022 film Dark Glasses, which is a Dario Argento film. Because I guess for a while people thought the last film he was going to do was Dracula 3D, and that's the one with the CGI praying mantis bits of business, and probably the worst film I've seen Dario Argento do. It's that bad. It's that awful. It's that bad. But he did this film, and this film was, I would say, average, very average. Some would say mediocre. I'd never see the film again, but it's nothing that made me mad. It is a fairly short film. The premise of it, our lead character, I thought it was weird because she goes out, she watches a solar eclipse with a group of people, but she doesn't have the right things. I thought that was going to amount to something later, where, okay, maybe she'll go blind from the solar eclipse. No. Like, she's looking at it, but then she kind of looks away. Our lead character is a prostitute, and of course, like many these giallo films, there's a black glove killer just killing prostitutes, in this case strangling them. And the few times you see it, you get some decent makeup effects on the neck wounds. And we have a little bit of build up of the lead character, like when she's a hooker, a guy gets fresh with her, so she sprays him, and he walks away. One at least another gets up with the killer, chased by the killer, both in different vehicles. The killer hits her vehicle, which crashes into this other car, kind of like, and then when she wakes up, she's bloodied up. But the family was a Chinese family whose the parents are killed, but the kid is alive. Our lead character falls, passes out. She wakes up, and she's blind. So pretty much it's her. She gets a icing dog. Later, she sees this Asian kid who's an orphan now, kind of adopts him, as like the two of them kind of working together while this killer is trying to search for them. Now, I didn't mind the acting for this kind of film. I didn't mind the idea of the kid, like they both have wounds, they both have been screwed over by this killer. So you have these two characters working together. But at the same time, it wasn't anything completely noteworthy that was incredibly suspenseful. And when you think of Dario Argento, I think a lot of us always think of the 80s, 70s Argento, where it's those vibrant colors and just psychedelic color schemes put together to make them visually unique compared to other directors and other films of that era. And he kind of just abandoned that and doesn't really do that kind of stuff. So his shot just fairly typical. I mean, if I didn't tell you Dario Argento directed this, you probably would never have guessed it. ODA is trying to be a bit of a giallo because the black glove killer, but pretty much it. There's not a whole lot of gore. I think once in a while someone gets strangled. You see a little bit of a decent makeup effect, but it's not a big gore fest. That's another thing. It's not like other Argento films like Suspiria or Phenomena or Deep Red, where you see like inventive kills. And that's the thing, like if you go into an Argento film, you want to see that aesthetic or really gory, inventive like kills. You don't get either of them. You get neither of them. So then you're like, well, what the hell are you seeing this for if you don't get that? Like I said, I don't mind the setup. I like that it's at least it knows enough to be a short enough film. There wasn't a whole lot that made me angry. Like I said, she meets the kid tries to help, they're kind of helping each other. She continues being a hooker, which I guess why not? I mean, some men, that'd be their preference. Oh, they don't have to see what I look like, so they don't have to, if I'm walking down the street, she's not going to know if I pass by her. So some people would appreciate that and prefer that. So, yeah, a blind hooker, I'd do it. Why not? Be an experience. Asia Argento, Dario Argento's daughter, which I heard she's quite a bit of a weirdo. I can't remember the details though. Someone told me. I went, what the fuck? But I did it so awful, so I forgot about it. Somebody at one point she was with an underage boy or something. I don't know. I don't know the details. I can't remember. Cannot remember. Maybe someone in the comments will say it. I just know she seems like a weirdo. Here, she's playing a pretty straightforward character, kind of like our lead character's therapist, kind of a friend. She kind of helps her get the eye-seeing dog. I wish there was more scenes with this dog, because he becomes very, very important in the third act. Very important. So I think there should have been more scenes of the kid playing with the dog, or the lady. Maybe the dog's hired to do this, but throughout it, maybe she does certain things, and so the dog likes her even more, or appreciates her even more, or maybe she gives the dog a certain specific treat, and the kid does as well, and maybe that could be how the two bond. Like the two are trying to help each other, but they don't have a common ground, and the common ground could be this dog. She needs it, the kid likes it, so they bond over this dog, and they bond with each other. I think that could have worked for the story better if they went that route. Sadly, they don't. And then as the movie goes, you're kind of waiting to see what's going to happen next. And it doesn't feel like a whole lot's happening. Because again, you don't have those unique visual tricks of Argento, camera movements. Like I said, anybody could have directed this. I just didn't get more into spoilers. Until the killer is kind of on track to where these people are at. Follows them. Knows it's Asia Argento in her truck and that she was with that girl earlier when the killer saw them. So he chases after Aja, knocks her truck off the road, chases after her, strangles her, kills her. Pretty soon after, the blind woman and the kid find the body. They go through swampy waters. They even deal with a snake at one point. I mean, what was this, anaconda? They get helped by these two guys. It's funny, like, these two guys are helping them, and she is explaining what's happening, what's going on. So they turn, they see a truck driving right towards them in full speed. But the guy doesn't move, doesn't shoot, and doesn't yell. Because the other guy's trying to help these other people, but the other guy sees his truck. If I see a truck coming towards me, I'm going to either yell or scream or shout and, oh, say something, yell, say, fuck, He doesn't do anything. I don't know why. And they did like the kind of wrestling match, the killer and the two guys, while the two lead characters run for it. Later they get caught, they get hosed down a bit. I guess the idea is the killer likes to collect dogs, including, so he has multiple dogs, and including the Icene dog. And I don't know what the killer was thinking of, what the hell his plan was. Like, I didn't really get it. So the Icene dog is let out. It gets himself out. And this, I did like the dog. I think it's German Shepherd, I believe. I think it was the kind of dog Belushi had in K9. I like the dog. The killer's good with dogs. He's trying to get the dog to listen to him, but then the ladies say, "No, listen to me." Ultimately, the dog listens to the right person, and even though it gets wounded by the killer, is able to get the killer by the jugular, rip his throat out, and some nice makeup effect, chunks and tendrils, you say. Some decent, makeup gore with that. And then pretty much the movie's over. The kids don't go back to Hong Kong. Our lead character will deal alone. Got the dog. They say goodbye. The movie's over at like an hour and 20 some minutes. Why'd you tell the whole story? Well, number one, I said it was spoilers. Number two, to fully encapsulate why I don't think it was horrible or terrible. It just seemed rather routine. The acting, I've seen much worse. I've seen much better. There's a few pieces of gore I liked. Again, like the dog ripping out the throat. The dog rules. I like the dog. I would say the dog was my favorite character. The guy, the killer, was stupid enough to bring the dog there in the first place. I think he, at one point, tries to go in the apartment and knocks out the dog with like a spray. If he left the dog there, or just killed the dog in any way, shape, or form, he'd still be alive. But no, he was too stupid enough to do all this. So, and that's the thing, you don't really get a handle on the killer, at least I didn't, like what his backstory was. Why does he collect these dogs? Maybe the movie did explain it and I forget it, and if so, I apologize. It's my fault. And that's what I mean, like, I'm watching this, I'm going, okay, it's not as insanely terrible as Dracula 3D, but it's nothing that... Okay, it gets a 5.1. That's ironic. It's almost right in the middle. It's just kind of there. Just kind of sits there, Oh, okay. That was a movie. That was a thing. The score, I remember not minding the score. Does it had a bit of this thumping beat on the soundtrack? It had a bit of an electronic score. At times sounded a little bit like Daft Punk. So I thought the score was decent. The movie, wasn't too overlong or anything. It's just maybe a few. I don't know. I just did not feel much suspense. I think if we could have seen the Dario Argento aesthetic be brought into this, what you can do. I mean, hell, Malignant. With James Wan, sometimes there was that giallo, like when she falls, like she's in that. I'll put as her falling asleep. I'll put it that way. For without spoiling too much of the movie. And like the way colors and the visual qualities are used, that could be somewhat giallo and somewhat Argento-like. And if James Wan can do it, why can't Dario Argento do it? I don't understand that. It's like Argento just doesn't want to do it anymore. Or doesn't feel like he needs to do it anymore. I think they could have helped. Like I said, I don't mind the concept of a woman and a kid helping each other, a blind woman and a kid helping each other out after they've both been affected by this killer. I do like the dog being the hero at the end of it. Which that does remind me a bit of Argento. It reminds me of Phenomena, where the monkey became the hero at the end. So, even that's not even original. An animal coming in to save the day by killing the killer. And Phenomena I like more because that had more of that visual artistry that I was talking about before. Like I said, it just came off just very average. Not something I would ever remember. It is what it is. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.